Hi, I'm Len Schaefer with David Barrett again for another episode of Movies, Music, and Movie Music. And David is going to start us off today.
Great. Well, what can I say about this classic? But the director, Wes Anderson, and he had one huge career after this, but Bottle Rocket features Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson and the other Wilson brother. And the guy who plays the heavy in this movie is James Caan. And this movie is quite an adventure ride. Again, all the Wilson brothers, directed by Wes Anderson with James Caan in it. Look up the movie, definitely check it out. It's got some action, it's got a little bit of comedy, and I think it's the first time Andrew and Owen Wilson and the third Wilson brother were in a movie together. And again, Wes Anderson, the director, had a huge career after this.
He's had a pretty fascinating career,
Yeah.
hasn't he? He's done
It
a lot
all
of,
started with
kind
Bottle
of
Rocket.
quirky movies. Yeah.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
started with this one, Bottle Rocket. Again, the late great James Caan, rest in peace.
Yeah.
One of my favorite actors from The Godfather and many other ones. Bottle Rocket. Again, Wes Anderson, the Wilson brothers, James Caan. Check it out. Check
Want
it
to
out.
say a little bit about what it's about?
I kind of forget. That's what I was telling everybody. Action, comedy. You never
Right.
want to give the movie away too much.
Right.
But
It's always a balance.
it is worth it. Just definitely worth mentioning and watching for sure. So that's my first one.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, I'm going to start us off with something that has come out in two different versions. The original version was from 2007, and the movie is called Waitress, with Kerry
Oh,
Russell.
that's a good one. I
Yeah,
saw that one. Yeah.
Kerry Russell, who looked absolutely spectacular in this movie.
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh yeah,
Right?
it was Ryan. Was no, I'm not sure if
No?
Ryan Reynolds was in
Okay.
it. I know Kerry Russell was, and also Jeremy Sisto. Maybe that's who you're thinking of instead of Ryan Reynolds. Jeremy Sisto, who also played Jeremy in, I believe he played the same name, Jeremy, in 6 Feet Under, the TV series. So you might know him from that. And it also was one of the last films of Andy Griffith. It was his second to last film.
Nice
He
to
played
know.
kind of the old codger that owns the diner that Kerry Russell is a waitress in. And so she's a waitress in this small town diner, kind of a rough life, in a loveless marriage. Her husband is kind of controlling, and she finds out she's pregnant, which she's not real happy about. She goes to see her doctor, expecting to see her usual female doctor, and instead it's this new male doctor who's just moved to town, and they end up kind of falling for each other. And so for the first time in a long time, if ever, she feels really loved by this guy. But anyway, I won't give away too much, but the thing that Russell's character is brilliant at, is making pies. And they have the most spectacular pies you'll ever see. And they're all original, and she comes up with original names, and it's really fun. And a couple of interesting things about the film. It was shot in only 20 days, a very short time period to do it. And it was written and directed by Adrienne Shelly, who plays one of the other waitresses in the diner. And it's interesting. Shelley wrote the name of the doctor, Dr. Palmater. And Palmater is actually a combination of three of her favorite Yankees players.
Mhm.
If you take Jorge Posada for the Pa, and you take Hideki Matsui for the Mott, and then you take Derek Jeter for the you have Dr. Palmater. So that's kind of an interesting little trivia bit about that. One of the other interesting things about this movie is that Shelley financed it by doing a staged reading of the screenplay, and some of the people who participated in the staged readings were big names. Gretchen Mol, Amy Sedaris, and Paul Rudd were in the staged reading. Although I guess probably Paul Rudd wasn't very big yet in 2007, or maybe this was even earlier, 2005 or 6, but it's still kind of interesting. And the really tragic note about this is that Adrienne Shelly was actually murdered when she was 40 years old, before the movie came out.
Wow.
She had written and directed this. She had been an actor in a lot of films, but this was like her breakthrough. And we'll never know, one of the many great talents who died way too young. And it's really sad because she wrote and directed this beautiful film. It's really such a lovely film, and it's such a shame she wasn't around to see it come out, and for us to see what happen afterwards.
Yeah.
And one of the things that happened afterwards is many years later, it was actually made into a musical with the music by Sarah Bareilles. And, David and I talked a while back about how much we love female vocalists. And
Yeah.
I can't remember if we mentioned Sarah Bareilles, but she would certainly be one of them. I mean, she has a fantastic voice, writes really great songs, very catchy, and really grabs your attention. But I'll tell you, I had no idea how good an actor she is. And they filmed the Broadway version of the musical of Waitress. And the film is available. You can find it on, I can't remember where, but on one of the movie channels. And I tell you, as great a singer and songwriter as Sarah Bareilles is, her acting, I think, is even better. I mean, she is just breathtaking in this show. And it's well worth checking out both the original movie from 2007 and the filming of the Broadway version from 2023. I think that pretty much covers it. But yeah, check out.
What other roles is she in? Who the lady who wrote and directed it?
Well, I don't know. That, I probably could
Google her name.
Yeah, her name is Adrienne Shelly, Adrienne. Shelly is, I believe,
in many acting roles before her.
Yeah,
writing, directing, and acting. Thing here.
Shelly is her last name.
Yeah.
So Adrienne Shelly, you can check her out, and definitely look at Waitress. And even if you're not a big fan of musicals, you might enjoy. I've found it's really interesting. I love going to musical theater, but when you see televised versions of Broadway shows, they really grab your attention and hold you in a way that even live theater, I think, doesn't. So it might be something you would enjoy, but the original movie is really, I think, a classic.
Cool, and I just want to add my love for Andy Griffith.
Yes.
Of course, what a long storied career this man has had. He was in the Andy Griffith Show, and wasn't he on the Bozo the Clown thing or something?
That I don't know, but he was in a great old movie, which maybe I'll talk about on another podcast, called A Face in the Crowd, which was about how when someone becomes a media star, how he becomes like this monster,
Yeah.
It's really way ahead of its time. It was from, I think, 1958, but Griffith, who usually played the good guy in the Andy Griffith Show, he plays just a horrible person in A Face in the Crowd, which is pretty interesting.
Wow. And later on, he did Matlock. When I got to interview the actor Daniel Roebuck, really nice man who's had a great storied career himself. He was the co-star in Andy Griffith's show Matlock. And what a career, I mean, the man has had.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So on to another actor that I got to meet at the Stockton Con. I love this man. This movie he's in with the late, great Luke Perry. It's a Western, and Luke plays the bad hat. And the good guy's Lou Diamond Phillips. And Deborah Kara Unger is the damsel in distress, I guess, in this one. But Luke Perry, I mean, a lot of people want to stereotype him, put him in a box for Beverly Hills 90210. But he went on to do, 8 Seconds, with Stephen Baldwin, another Western about horse riding. He did this movie and a few other Westerns, but he was in some pretty gritty action movies too. And just a side note that his son, Jack Perry, is now a wrestler in AEW, All Elite Wrestling. Jack Perry, Luke Perry's son. And this is a Western with Luke Perry, again, playing the bad guy. We got Lou Diamond Phillips as the good guy. And I just want to say, Lou Diamond Phillips was so gracious with his time, and he was a true gentleman. He was at the Stockton Con, and this guy did an interview with me, which you can see on my other YouTube channel, Entertainment Getaway TV, a full interview with Lou Diamond Phillips. And the thing that got him was like, hey, Lou, what movies do you want to talk about that no one has ever heard of or cares about?
Oh, what a great question.
Instead of La Bamba and Young Guns,
right?
He talked about his role as Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, in a recent movie. He was also a gay flamboyant hitman in a movie called Another Day in Paradise with Melanie Griffith and James Woods. And what a great guy, great actor, Lou Diamond Phillips. He's with Scott Glenn in a movie. I forget the name of it, but yeah, Scott Glenn, Lou Diamond Phillips. He was also in Stan Stand and Deliver with Edward James Olmos.
Right.
He was in
Wasn't he in Red Corner with Richard Gere also? I think Lou Diamond Phillips played like the American ambassador or something in that in China.
I mean, he did a guest star on the show 24 with Kiefer Sutherland because him and Kiefer were in a buddy cop movie. Anyway, the career of Lou Diamond Phillips is amazing, and Luke Perry. So this is a rare Western called Angel and the Badman. Again, highly recommended. Anything with Lou Diamond Phillips in it. And Westerns are so great to watch. They're predictable, but you know the bad guy is going to get it in the end, the good guy. And it's always great to see who plays the bad guy in Western. So again, Angel and the Badman, Lou Diamond Phillips, Luke Perry, highly recommended.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, the next one I want to talk about is a real classic, an epic film, or at least a classic in my view. I don't know if everyone would agree, but it's Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman in Far and Away. And it's a real statement about the American dream. It's an epic romance. So Cruise, of all the Tom Cruise movies, and there have been a lot of good ones, this is my favorite.
Is that right? Really?
Yeah,
wow.
Absolutely.
He's had quite a career.
He has had quite a career, but I really love this movie. There are definitely some issues. The accents are not great. I mean, especially his. And people kind of make fun of it. In fact, when I was doing research for this, they said in Ireland, it's actually viewed as a comedy because his accent is so bad. But,
oh, damn.
So if you can get past the accent, the rest of it is just great. And, you know, that you might have a few other issues, but the main thing is the story is just epic. So he's this poor Irishman, lives, you know, in this little shack and, you know, out in farmland, and his father dies and they come to repossess his home. And he and others are very upset about this. And he announces he's going to go find the landlord who he's never met, and he's going to kill him. So that's his plan. So he takes this, he takes a donkey because he can't afford a horse. So he rides a donkey to, you know, long distance to go find this landlord. And that's when he meets Nicole Kidman, who's the daughter. And after, you know, meeting her, and they have some initial interactions, which I won't go into, but he eventually decides he's going to help her run away because she's miserable there, and they decide to go to America. And most of the film is actually in America of 1892 and 1893. And the film just does a tremendous job of showing what America was like in those days. Some spectacular cinematography of, you know, nature, and also just a great job of recreating life in those days. And they start in Boston, very poor, trying to make it. Eventually, there's a great scene of the Oklahoma land rush. And I didn't know about this until I saw the movie, and I did some research later. But they had this thing where they had so much land in Oklahoma that they were giving it away. So they would have this day when you would have all these people, like thousands of people would start, and they'd, you know, fire a gun, and you would just race and try to find a tract of land, and you would, you know, stick your number in the ground and you would claim it.
Wow.
So, and here's what's interesting. The director of the movie was Ron Howard, and 3 of his grandparents actually participated in that Oklahoma land rush. I think it was his great-grandparents because it was a long time ago. But
oh, wow.
Let me just see if there's anything else I want to say about this. But one of the things that Nicole Kidman keeps saying about America when he's talking to her is, it's so modern. That's like her big thing. It's like, it's modern in America. So kind of interesting. So I think that's about it. But
weren't they together at that time?
They were together at the time.
Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were an actual couple.
Well, and, I mean, assuming that the rumors of Cruise are not necessarily true about whether he's gay, and whether
I've heard that about John
Travolta, convenience, Travolta
and,
as well, right?
and a few other ones.
But they definitely come across great in this, and it's a sweeping, epic movie about the American dream and a love story for the ages, I think. So
let's bring up another thing that they did.
Well, hold
Stanley
on.
Kubrick's last movie.
Right. I'll talk about that in 1 second.
Good.
I just wanted to say Far and Away is from 1992. I always think it's good to give the year so people get a feel for it. And I'm sorry, yes, Eyes Wide Shut, which was Kubrick's last movie. Very sexy and very
with both of them in it.
With both of them in it, right. Kidman looks absolutely incredible in that movie, and
Yeah.
it's
So
kind of a weird movie.
did they just do 2 movies together, I guess?
I think they might have done more. I would have to look that up. But
Yeah.
I have a feeling they did more, but it might have been just this.
Give me your other 4 favorite Tom Cruise movies.
Oh, wow. I mean,
Far and Away is number 1.
Far and Away is number 1. I mean, it's hard off the top of my head.
I have to say Collateral,
Okay.
where he plays the hitman with Jamie Foxx.
I have not seen that one.
and,
I loved Risky Business, of course. I mean, who
I loved
doesn't?
the Interview with the Vampire. I thought that
Right.
was cool with Brad Pitt and Tom
Right.
Cruise.
I mean, who doesn't love Risky Business, right?
And then Born on the 4th of July.
Oh, that's a really good one.
Oliver Stone and Tom Cruise.
That's
that
a really
was
good one.
fantastic.
And, his first one, I think it was his first one, was Taps with Timothy Hutton.
Yeah, there you go. And,
And,
Sean Penn, too, right? Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
Cruise played this kind of maniac in Taps.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to cast him in Risky Business because they thought, he was more like the maniac kind of character.
Yeah.
He had to convince them that he could play the nice guy in Risky Business. So that was kind of
And we'll take it back to The Outsiders, where he was with C. Thomas Howell,
right. I mean, that was
Ralph Macchio, Patrick Swayze. What a cast.
Diane Lane, I think, was in there.
Yeah,
What
Tom
a
Cruise.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was the early Tom Cruise. And just a side note about Ron Howard's brother, Clint Howard.
Right.
I met him at a Las Vegas convention called Days of the Dead. This is a pop culture sci-fi horror convention. Clint Howard's list of movies is so incredible. And the guy was wearing a Cheap Trick hat. And his love for Cheap Trick, when I said, "Hey Clint, what do you like about Cheap Trick?" And he says, "Like is an understatement. I love Cheap Trick." He was going into how much he loved Cheap Trick. I wish I would have got it on video, but Clint Howard has been in a ton of Ron Howard movies, and I just had to say, I really have a lot of love for Clint Howard, his whole career, and what a super nice guy. And his brother has done so many great things in the movie world.
No, and Clint has played a lot of interesting character roles. One other Cruise movie I want to mention, I didn't love Top Gun, which I know a lot of people really love. I never loved it. I actually really liked the one that came out a few years ago, the sequel to Top Gun.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought he was great in that. And I actually thought the story was more interesting than the original.
That's kind of rare, right?
Yeah, to have a sequel that you like more than the original.
Well, to have Val Kilmer in that movie, one last run with Val. I mean, what an epic actor he is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go into another pretty epic movie, directed by James Cameron. We're talking about The Abyss.
Right, I've seen
Now, this is with Ed Harris, Michael Biehn, who's in Cameron films like Terminator, the first one in Aliens. It got Mary Elizabeth Mastriano, I hope I said that right, who's in Scarface. But The Abyss, Michael Biehn plays the bad guy in this. He's so amazing. Ed Harris is one of the best actors ever, in my opinion. State of Grace, he played the famous painter.
Pollock, Jackson Pollock.
He played Pollock. And again, this is written and directed by James Cameron. The Abyss, that came out, I want to say after Aliens.
Sometime in the 80s, I think. Right?
Amazing.
Probably late 80s, early 90s.
This guy, incredible special effects. It's cutting edge effects. It takes place underwater. There's Ed Harris and Mary Elizabeth, and it's so amazing. This is a special edition DVD for The Abyss. Great movie. Very underrated in the Cameron world. He went on to do Avatar and the sequel and another one coming up, but Terminator, Aliens. So again, The Abyss, an underwater epic adventure that's highly recommended. James Cameron, and such a fantastic, stellar cast. Put it on your movie list to see sooner than later.
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about one that I'm guessing most, if not all of you, have never heard of. It's from 2001, and it's called The Invisible Circus. And I really love this movie. It has Cameron Diaz, Jordana Brewster, a very young Camilla Bell. I think she's like 12 in this, or at least her character is.
Oh, wow.
And Blythe Danner. We were talking on the last podcast that we did about movies. We were wondering who Gwyneth Paltrow's mom was. That was it. It was Blythe Danner, and we couldn't remember her at the time. But she's in this movie as well. She plays the mother of both Jordana Brewster and Cameron Diaz. Cameron is the older sister, Jordana's younger. So it opens in mid-70s San Francisco. And Brewster is like 5 years or so younger than Diaz. And Diaz, when in the late 60s, had gone with her boyfriend to Europe to travel, and she ended up committing suicide. So Brewster, who's now turning 18 in the mid-70s, decides that she is going to try to retrace the steps that Diaz took, because she got postcards from each place Diaz went to. So she's going to go to each place that Diaz went to, and she's going to recruit Diaz's former boyfriend to go with her so she can try to understand what happens, because it's always been one of the questions that's really bothered her. Why did she commit suicide? What happened? And so as she goes to all these different places with this former boyfriend of her sister, little bits and pieces are revealed about what really happened with Cameron Diaz. So it's a really lovely film. It works as both a mystery and kind of a thing about the bonds of sisterhood, and showing the two different they had very different personalities. Diaz was a really outgoing, kind of friendly, and Brewster's kind of a shy, quiet. So I think it's a lovely movie, and one that not many people know about.
Was this something that Cameron Diaz did before her career blew up in The Mask? And
well, 2001, so she was already pretty well known.
Pretty established star.
But yeah, I guess she wasn't like a big star, but I think she was pretty well known. But yeah, 2001, The Invisible Circus.
Cool. I did meet Camille Bell at a WonderCon convention in San Francisco at the Moscone Center before they took that convention down to Anaheim for WonderCon. It still goes today, but it used to hit San Francisco, and she was in this prehistoric movie, 10,000 BC or something.
Right, okay. Which was a remake of the one that Raquel Welch was in originally in the 60s.
Yes, and I met the male lead. Forgive me for not remembering his name, but Camille Bell. They were at this convention, and Brendan Fraser was there promoting another movie, and
Fraser,
it was pretty
who's
cool.
now playing Eisenhower in this new movie.
I couldn't believe it when I saw the billboard. Yeah. I just got back from LA, and they had the billboards everywhere.
I really want to see that. It's called Pressure, I think. That sounds.
I just want to say for the record, I hated what happened with Brendan Fraser, with all the stuff, the nasty stuff that came out, and how he was blackballed, and but he stood up and. I've always respected that man's career, from The Mummy to even his funny comedies, like George of the Jungle. He just seems like a really nice guy and a great actor, very underrated.
Now, do you want to talk a little bit about what happened? Because I actually don't know the story.
Well, if nobody knows, he went to some people that were part of the industry, these bigwigs who I forget, but they had a lot of power and invited him to a dinner party, and one of the guys groped him and felt him up, and he spoke up about it, and next thing you know, his phone wasn't ringing to his agent to get jobs and all this stuff, and so he stuck to his guns, and he ended up getting the word out, and eventually. Not only did this guy and all the people he was in control of for, I don't know if it was the Golden Globe people, the directors and all this stuff, but it was somebody that was in higher power in these things. And now that he stood up and other people, they ended up doing away with this guy and the group of people who blackballed him. And it was actually a win for the guy who, stood up for himself but again, just a great actor. I'm so glad that he did that because,
you have to have a tremendous amount of respect for someone who has the strength to do that, knowing that it could hurt his career.
And now, the comeback of Brendan Fraser after that was The Whale, which was a fantastic movie.
Great movie. It's hard to watch at times.
It really is. But Brendan, he showed you wasn't just, this pretty boy actor with all looks and no talent. He really sunk his teeth into that one, and now it's playing Eisenhower, right, in this movie.
Eisenhower in the movie Pressure,
Yeah.
the new movie that's
Yeah.
out. And he was great
And,
in School Ties when he was really young, where he
Totally,
played
yeah.
a Jewish quarterback at a private school in the 50s who had to deal with anti-Semitism. And
Yeah, he's had such a great career, Brendan Fraser, and again, just so happy that he stood up and, really, the comeback after that is it's such a great story. So, good on Brendan Fraser for that, and the best of luck to him and all that he does in the near future. We probably have yet to see his best work yet. You know what I
could
mean?
be.
Like,
Yeah.
well, here's a.
Well, he did. Did he win the Oscar for The Whale? I know he was nominated.
Yeah, I think he did, and that's why
Yeah.
he's getting all these other opportunities now. So the next one, it leads me to a movie that has Robin Wright Penn, who, as you all know, is married to Sean Penn.
Well,
was married.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, and they had 2 kids together.
Right.
In this movie is Hopper Penn, who Hopper Jack Penn. That's Sean Penn's son in this movie called Devil's Peak. Now this is with Billy Bob Thornton. There's Hopper Jack Penn. There's his mom, Robin Wright Penn, and some other notables in this movie are the kid who grew up, Haley.
Haley Joel Osment.
Yeah, he's in this, and it's pretty amazing. What it reminds me of is when I met Billy Bob Thornton a couple years back. He was touring with his band, Billy Bob Thornton and the Boxmasters. He still does play guitar and sings lead vocals in his band. Tours around. That's a good chance to meet Billy Bob. But what an actor! You think about this Sling Blade, Bad Santa. He was in the TV show with John Ritter and Marky Post called Hearts of Fire. He was in the Bill Paxton movie where he played the bad guy, and Bill Paxton was in the lead as the cop, called One False Move. So Billy Bob, it reminds me of this movie with Christopher Walken and Sean Penn called At Close Range, where Walken influences his son to get in the business of stealing tractors and stuff from people's houses. Well, Billy Bob Thornton is this drug kingpin in the woods, and he wants his son to carry on the business, and his son's against that. What a deep drama, little bit of action. But yeah, Billy Bob Thornton plays a really evil man. Sean Penn's son and his mom play the son and the wife, right, or the girlfriend. Pretty amazing. Devil's Peak. This movie isn't too old. I don't know exactly the date, but again, if you like dramas and you love Billy Bob Thornton, it's up there with some of his best movies that he ever did. And I got to meet the guy, and I'd say that he's really cool in person. He gave me a lot of time during sound check for his band, Billy Bob Thornton and the Boxmasters. So see Devil's Peak.
Another good movie that he was in was a movie with John Cusack where they played air traffic controllers.
Oh, yeah,
and what's Angelina Jolie was in that as well, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but that was a pretty good movie.
It had a lot of good comedy.
Yeah.
John Cusack's always great in it too. I forget the title too, but that's a good one. I haven't been disappointed with anything Billy Bob's done, whether it's a dramatic role or a comedy. The guy pulls it off, and of course, spectacularly.
Sling Blade was what really brought him to everyone's attention, and he was brilliant in that. So Okay, well, I want to talk about one. I talk a lot about older movies, even movies from 10, 20 years ago. I'm going to talk about one from this year, which I just saw recently. And knowing the types of movies you like, David, I think you would really like this one. It's called Mercy. So it's from this year. It has Chris Pratt, who's a cop who's been arrested for murdering his wife. But trials are different now. It's slightly in the future. It's only a few years in the future. But trials have now been taken over completely by AI because they figure AI can decide purely based on the facts. So no judge, no jury, just AI.
Oh, wow. And
Chris Pratt awakes. I guess he's been out of it or something. And he awakes. He's strapped to this chair. He's got his, his hands are what do you call it, in cuffs or whatever. And he can't move. He's got 90 minutes to prove his innocence. And if he doesn't, he's going to be executed on the spot. And what's fascinating about this is because it's controlled by AI, he has like an endless wealth of information that he can call up verbally by saying, let me look at the case file, let me look at video footage of this day at this time at this place, and so he has to do this. And the movie is shot in real time.
Yeah.
It's a pretty short movie. I think it's an hour and 20 minutes long, but it is definitely edge of your seat thriller, which you would never think would be the case with someone, strapped into a chair. But
the dialogue's got to be amazing to keep you interested, right?
It's really great. And let me see, I have a few notes about this. So I think I've kind of talked about it. Just that it's an edge of your seat thriller and a mystery, which is similar to The Invisible Circus, but that's the only thing that's similar, is that they're both kind of mysteries. But he does a great job of showing these various emotions that he goes through as he's trying to save his own life and trying to figure out what really happened to his wife. So
he's a great actor, and most people know him from Guardians of the Galaxy,
right?
And the Jurassic World movies.
That
Chris Pratt, yeah,
I haven't seen the Jurassic World.
Yeah, so he's in. That's his big, and for an actor, this is proof that an actor that gets the big payday on two huge movies, and then he goes and does a movie like this where he's not going to win an Oscar, he's not going to win a lot of views and get points and be in the everybody's loves me club. For doing a movie like this, he just wants to do this to remind people that he's still an actor that can take on a role that's not about awards or any more popularity, but just because it's fulfilling for him. And I already know without seeing this that that's what he's going back to doing. Like, okay, I got my big payday. I'm super popular. Let me go do Mercy.
And it's such an important movie given, the prevalence of AI in all of our lives now. And, it's kind of a cautionary tale. So, but Mercy from 2026, Chris Pratt, definitely worth seeing, good suspense thriller. So
cool. Yeah. And I'll move on to the next one is, so we're going to go back to what I was talking about. James Cameron is, at the time he was dating, Catherine Bigelow, okay, and
who directed Zero Dark 30 and won Best Director for it.
And she also directed Point Break, my favorite Swayze, Keanu Reeves, surfer bank heist movie. Catherine Bigelow, at the time dating James Cameron. James Cameron just got off of doing Aliens and had Bill Paxton, Jeanette Goldstein, who I met in San Jose, and Lance Henriksen, who I met in Burbank at another convention. And these three actors are from Aliens, who were in James Cameron's Aliens movie. She came to those three actors and said, hey, I want to put you in a romantic Western vampire movie. And this is a really underrated gem. And the reason why many of you may not have heard of it is because it came out within a couple months of The Lost Boys, which became the hit vampire movie, as you know, with Kiefer Sutherland, Jason Patric, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman. The Lost Boys, 2 months this came out within, and it's called Near Dark. And again, slick cover, double disc edition, the late great Bill Paxton. I got to meet Lance Henriksen, who signed that for me, and I got to meet the kid in the movie. There he is. And he signed this. Jeanette Goldstein signed this for me. It was amazing. Again, one of my favorite vampire movies of all time, Near Dark. And there's my signed copy. I'm so, out of all my collection, to have three people from this movie sign this movie for me. It's very interesting. It's truly a vampire flick about three vampires. Well, actually four, including the kid from River's Edge. Trying to think of his name. Joshua Miller, who's the half-brother of Jason Patric. And their dad is famous as well. Look that up. Joshua Miller, Jason Patric. Their dad was famous. Anyway, they're four vampires who take on another vampire in their clique is played by Adrienne Pasdar. And this movie's amazing. Directed by Catherine Bigelow. Written by. Bill Paxton in one of his greatest roles ever as Severin, the vampire. Lance Henriksen, Jeanette Goldstein as a vampire couple. And they kidnap Adrian Pasdar and they turn him into a vampire. And it's truly a romantic Western vampire flick, and it's highly underrated. And you have to see this movie if you're a vampire fan, but it's more than that. And again, it was swept under the rug because The Lost Boys, which came out a couple months earlier, just blew up, and there wasn't room for two vampire movies in 1986. Near Dark, really check it out. Like I said, one of Bill Paxton's finest. Catherine Bigelow at the director's helm and the writer. 3 stars from James Cameron's Aliens, who was dating, Catherine at the time, James Cameron. So Near Dark, highly recommended vampire movie. Check it out, 86, Near Dark.
And wasn't Adrian Pasdar, he was in that TV series about the celebrity that had his posse with him. I forget, what was the name of that series? You know what I'm talking
Entourage?
about. Entourage.
Okay.
Wasn't he in that?
He may have been. I remember him from, I didn't watch the TV show, but he was in another popular TV show. Look him up. He had a bit part in Carlito's Way, Adrian Pasdar. I actually met him at the NAMM show, which is the National Association of Musical Merchants. It happens every January in Anaheim and every summer in Tennessee. And Adrian is a guitar player, singer. And the reason Adrian isn't, his signature's not on here, because I didn't have this movie with me, and the last person I was expecting to run into was Adrian Pasdar. But once I saw him, I recognized him, and I said, "Oh, Adrian, he was walking away from the convention." And I said, "Hey, man, I love you in Near Dark and the rest of your career." And, he posed for a picture with me. But I'm telling you guys, Near Dark, it's just, for vampire lover movies, it's probably the most underrated, the most unknown, but the most that should be seen by most all of you out there. Near Dark, check it out.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, I mentioned that I like to talk about a lot of older movies, and the last couple of times we did this, I talked about one of the older stars each time. I talked about Jimmy Stewart and about Spencer Tracy, 2 of my favorites. This time I'm going to talk about a movie, and most of the movies I've talked about have been kind of lesser known that, most of you have probably not heard of. I'm going to talk about a big one this time, and this one was huge. It won the Oscar for Best Picture. It was huge at the box office. The critics loved it. The cast is amazing. It's called From Here to Eternity from 1953, and the cast is just breathtaking. It's got, let's see, where is it here? I've got the list here. So Burt Lancaster, Montgomery Clift, Deborah Carr, Donna Reed, who was in It's a Wonderful Life, the wife in It's a Wonderful Life, Frank Sinatra, who actually won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for this one, Jack Warden, and Ernest Borgnine. So that is quite a cast. It takes place on a military base in 1941 Hawaii, so you can kind of guess what's coming in that movie, 1941 Hawaii. But it has several big storylines. It's a real epic film. It was shot in only 41 days and on a $1 million budget, which obviously was a lot more in 1953 than now, but still was fairly small by movie standards. The novel on which it was based had already been a bestseller, but the movie was so popular that after the film came out, the novel sold an extra 2 million copies, which is kind of incredible when you think about how much smaller the population was in those days than it is now. So Montgomery Clift plays a boxer who's been really successful and well known, but he had some tragedy. I can't remember the exact tragedy. He might have killed someone in the ring or something, so he doesn't want to box anymore. But he's now on this military base, and his sergeant loves the glory of beating other bases for the boxing championship. So he's constantly pressuring Clift to box, and Clift doesn't want to do it, and so he's just pushing him and pushing him and pushing him. So that's one of the stories. There are 2 major romances in the film. One is with Burt Lancaster and Deborah Carr. Carr is actually married to an officer, and she's trying to get Lancaster, who's a sergeant, to sign up to be an officer, and Lancaster really doesn't want to do that. But one of the most famous moments in movie history is in this movie, which you might remember. It's this shot of Lancaster and Carr running towards each other on the beach, and they, run into each other, and that scene is not only one of the most famous moments in movie history. It's also been lampooned many times. I saw it in one movie where they, ended up on the sand and got sand in their hair and their ears and their teeth and everything. So, but in this, of course, it's like an epic romantic moment. And the other one is with, let's see, the other romance I'm trying to remember, was it Montgomery Clift? Yes, the boxer who has this romance with this Donna Reed character. And Donna Reed, who had also always played this kind of wholesome, girl next door type, plays this woman who in the novel was a hooker, but given the code in 1953 Hollywood, they couldn't really say she was a hooker. So they kind of, beat around the bush a little bit about it, but it's kind of clear that that's what she does. But they have this romance as well. And Sinatra is fantastic in this movie. As you know, he won the Oscar, as I said, for Best Supporting Actor. He plays this kind of smart alecky kind of, just always fun-loving guy who gets on the wrong side of the Ernest Borgnine character. And Borgnine ends up just treating him horribly, and I won't go into more details, but it's Sinatra actually lobbied really hard for this part. He really wanted it. And he, even though he was pretty well known, he wasn't as big a superstar as he became later, I think, but he was already pretty big by 1953. And he actually did the part for astoundingly only $8,000, which is kind of amazing, given how big the movie was. The movie was actually won 8 Academy Awards, with one being Best Picture and the Best Supporting Actor. It also won, I believe, Best Director. Anyway, but as I said, it was Hawaii, 1941, so obviously you know what's going to happen. One of the great moments in the film that I really love is where Lancaster's talking to someone and he leans back against the wall, and you see next to him the calendar, and it says December 6th, 1941. Like just a chilling moment, right? Because you know what's happening. Given the, technical limitations of the time, they did a great job of depicting the Pearl Harbor bombing and, seeing how people at first didn't know what was going on. And then, of course, the panic, and just, there have been a lot of really great depictions of Pearl Harbor in movies over the years, but this one was really, really well done. So even if you don't have a lot of interest in older movies, or if you haven't really made much of an effort to see them, if you're going to see one, From Here to Eternity, you could do a lot worse than to see this one. It's really a classic in every way.
I think just for the cast alone, it's worth watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to mention that I just got back from the Hollywood show. It was a lifetime bucket list moment for me to go to the Hollywood show. If you don't know about it, first of all, Donna Reed was there.
Oh, wow.
In person.
She's got to be in her, late 80s, early 90s?
And years prior, somebody that goes to the Hollywood show religiously told me Ernest Borgnine was there because one of his favorite films is the Poseidon. And so Adventure, so he had to meet Ernest. He actually met the whole cast in Poseidon Adventure, including, what's her name? Sue, anyway.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Right.
Anyway,
the one from the wasn't the one from the Partridge Family, Susan Day? Is that who you're talking about?
Maybe so. I was thinking of Alan, Mary Sue. I don't know. Anyway, so Donna Reed was at the Hollywood show. It was so amazing that I got to go to this event because if you don't know, they do it 3 times a year, right across from the Burbank Airport, in the Burbank Marriott Hotel, and it's called the Hollywood Show. Google it. There's 60 celebrities there from late 60s, whoever's still alive today, all of the 70s and all of the 80s, maybe just a little bit of the 90s, but they concentrate on those eras. And it was so amazing. I met everybody from Charo to Priscilla Presley was there, Engelbert Humperdinck, William Shatner, Susan Olsen from the Brady Bunch, the singer of the Runaways, to Dave Davies of the Kinks. It was super fantastic. And if you're done talking about that one, it'll be a nice segue into the reunion of the T.J. Hooker cast was at the Hollywood show with Adrienne Shelly, Heather Locklear, and Bill Shatner himself. which I think, as much as I'm a big fan of Star Trek, the original, it's my favorite, second favorite TV show next to The Twilight Zone, the original, which William Shatner is in 2 episodes of The Twilight Zone. But I feel this is his best work. It's a gritty cop show, and believe me when I tell you, I've seen them all, from Starsky and Hutch to Adam 12 to every cop movie and TV show known to man. I've seen it. I really stand by this. I got to meet Bill Shatner, Heather Locklear, and Adrienne Shelly. Unfortunately, this guy on the end, he passed away a few years ago, but he was at the Hollywood show as well. It's a great TV show. It was, I think, from 82 to 86. And again, just wanted to bring this up because I'm fresh off coming from Burbank, California, celebrating my birthday weekend with the TJ Hooker cast, and really great show. It was so cool. Got to interview Heather Locklear and Adrienne Shelly. Bill Shatner, his latest project is he's putting out a heavy metal album like Pat Boone did. Pat Boone goes metal. Now William Shatner is going to go metal at 94 years old. This man is. He's had a long career, and he was in Boston Legal, The Practice. They even did a roast of Bill Shatner on Comedy Central, but he's putting out a heavy metal album with the likes of guitar player of Judas Priest, Zakk Wylde from Ozzy. He's got like 30 metal musicians, and he's going to be putting that album out in the next few months. So again, TJ Hooker reunion, Hollywood show. Everybody should go to it at least once in a lifetime. In fact, Barbara Eden is on the list to be one of the stars out of 60 stars that'll be there. End of October. Mark your calendar. Again, TJ Hooker, great TV show. So yeah. And,
you mentioned the Twilight Zone. One of the interesting things about how Rod Serling came up with the idea for the Twilight Zone, I don't know if this was the total impetus for it, but it was one of the big things that led him to it. He was serving on an island in the Pacific during World War II, and he was with a buddy of his, and the Americans had a drop of like food because they were trapped on this island.
Yeah.
So they did an airdrop of food, and one of the cans hit his friend in the head and killed him. And he just thought the absurdity of like they're fighting in this war against this brutal enemy, and he dies from a can of food being dropped from an airplane. And that's kind of what gave him the idea for the Twilight Zone. So it's kind of interesting.
It's my favorite show, and to have it remade 4 different times. They did it in the 80s.
Right.
They did another one in the 90s and another one in the 2000s.
And the one in the 2000s, I've seen a few of the episodes. Yeah. It's very good. I mean, nothing is going to match the original, obviously. Yeah. But they did a pretty good job with the remake as well. Yeah.
And so the last thing I'll go on is like one of my favorite TV shows. I'll take you back to Fan Expo convention in San Francisco over Thanksgiving weekend. It happened for the last 5 years. Unfortunately, they're moving it to Anaheim. It's called Fan Expo. Look it up. But last year, I was lucky enough to be second row down, filming Henry Winkler, Anson Williams, and Donnie Most talking about this beloved show right here called Happy Days. And what a show this was. Amazing. This is when TV was truly at its all-time best. Great guy behind it named Gary Marshall, whose sister Penny Marshall. Both of them are dead now and they passed away, but creative geniuses here who come up with this show. I got to interview Donnie Most after they did the panel discussion and question and answer session, which is on my other YouTube channel called Entertainment Getaway TV. You can see that right now. But I got to meet Don and interview him about his music career. Maybe some of you don't know this, but Don Most is he sings originals that's in the same vein as Frank Sinatra, like he's a crooner, and he's got a band, and he's also in a swing band, Donnie Most, and so he's a great vocalist, and he's in a couple of bands, and you can see my interview with Don Most on my other channel, and as well as the panel discussion with Anson, Henry, and Don on Entertainment Getaway TV. But great show. Scott Baio's on this later on. Ted McKinley from Revenge of the Nerds and Married with Children. He ends up on the last season of this, and you know, what do you like about this show? I mean, wasn't it just one of the all-time classics?
I grew up watching it. Yeah, I loved it. You know, I love the warmth of it. I love the overall kindness, and it's really interesting because Fonzie, who became the biggest character from that show, he was actually supposed to be a minor character. The show was supposed to be a stardom for Richie because, of course, he had been in the Andy Griffith Show. He grew up; everybody knew Ron Howard, but Henry Winkler, who was this Yale drama graduate, plays this kind of, you know, street guy Fonzie, and he just blows up and becomes this big star. But yeah, it was really a wonderful show and kind of nostalgia show, you know. And,
it was a '50s show, but came out in the '70s, but it was about the '50s.
But of course,
that's kind of rare, right?
Well, I think, sometimes they do make shows about 20 years ago. It seems like it's always about 20 years ago that people go back to, you know. So now people are listening to music from the 2000s, I think. But one of the things that's interesting about Happy Days is when they finally had kind of run out of creative ideas and they had them going to Hollywood and Fonzie jumping over a shark with skis. And it became this meme called "Jumping the Shark" when a series has outlived its usefulness, and that came from that. But you know, that was at the end. But it had many great years and a lot of really wonderful storylines. And you know, Laverne and Shirley and Mork and Mindy both came out of Happy Days. So.
True, and Joni Loves Chachi was another spinoff show. Henry Winkler went on to do. The Ron Howard directed movie, what was that called? It was with Michael Keaton, Henry Winkler, and a Ron Howard film, and I think it was Ron's first directorial debut. Anyway, it escapes my mind, but Henry Winkler went on to do The Waterboy, of course, the coach, in Adam Sandler
and he did
movie.
Click, another Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
Where he played Adam Sandler's father in that.
Yeah. So what a great career, and you know, all those guys, you know, when I met Don and Anson, they were all super cool. And Henry, this is a rare thing, but at the convention, he was giving everybody hugs. He goes, "I'm not a handshaker guy or a fist bumper. I give hugs to my fans." And
that's really awesome.
It was awesome.
That is really great.
So again, look for the footage on my other channel, Entertainment Getaway TV. Like I said, full-on interview and panel discussion with 3 cast members of Happy Days, and what a movie this is. I mean, a TV show this is. Check it out. The best of TV, Happy Days, and I guess that's about it. You know, through my pile of greatness.
Yes.
Look at all that. I'm a DVD guy, not streaming or watching stuff on Netflix, but I love the original media. So again, Happy Days to TJ Hooker. We've been through it, and see you next time.
Yeah, thanks again for watching Movies, Music, and Movie Music.